Opening Keynote by WH Partners.
Good morning everybody and welcome to this SiGMA Europe virtual Expo. I would like to thank SiGMA for inviting me to make a keynote introductory speech to this regulatory track. They asked me to speak about 2020. Well, of course, this is the year of COVID-19, of working from home, of lockdowns, and unfortunately no conference travel. But maybe more importantly, for the online gaming industry, it is, amongst others, the year in which virtuals and esports helped partially plug the gap left by the absence of football leagues and tennis tournaments. It is the year in which, despite everything else, things didn't go as badly as some feared. It is the year of sports betting licenses in Germany and newly introduced restrictions on online casino also in Germany. It is the year in which, to many's dismay, Denmark announced that online gambling taxes will increase next year from the current 20% to 28% of GGR. In Malta, it is the year of worry about possible Moneyval grey listing and what long-term effects this might have on Malta as a place of supply jurisdiction. But it is also the year in which Malta made news for imposing a record 2,300,000 and more fine for illegal gambling, fine of over 500,000 euros for AML infractions, and it also intensified its compliance audits by the FIAU and the MGA. This is also the year when Stars and Flut emerged, when DraftKings listed on Nasdaq after merging with SBTech, and the year in which Caesars announced its intention to buy William Hill. It is the year in which probably the most significant reforms to gambling regulation in the UK since the 2005 Acts were proposed. It is the year in which online gambling was legalized in the Ukraine, and the year in which licensing in Greece replaced or will replace the old interim license available there. Overall, there is a sense, I think, across the online gaming industry in Europe that this is the year where the drive originated by governments and regulators for tighter regulation, stricter enforcement, and more selective licensing has reached probably an irreversible momentum. We now have stricter regulation and stricter enforcement of anti-money laundering and responsible gambling rules. In the latter case, across several jurisdictions, although not necessarily a stated policy objective to my knowledge, it seems that the regulation of gambling is heading towards being more of a public health issue, or at least with public health as a foremost consideration. How else can we explain the very significant restrictions on advertising and on deposit or stake limits in some jurisdictions? As you will all know, all of this happens against the backdrop drawn in late 2017, where the European Commission no longer considers that treating complaints in the area of gambling is a priority. So hopes of at least partial harmonization of the sector have long gone with the wind. The Gambling Commission in the UK is considered by many to have, so to say, overzealously perhaps, led the charge on enforcement and restrictions in recent years, perhaps jointly with the Swedish Gambling Authority, an advertising ban in Italy, and Germany now starting a new chapter in its regulation of gambling, which has long been in the making. While Holland is preparing, some may say still, though not without delays, for rolling out regulation late next year. There is a sense this side of the Atlantic that whilst additional restrictions are being imposed on the gambling industry in Europe, as I said, indicative of a policy which considers it to be a threat to public health rather than an entertainment sector with specificities which require regulation, the contrary is happening in the US. I dare suggest to you that there is an important point of economic policy to be considered here in Europe. Having led the way in the development of the modern online gambling industry and having given birth to most of the major players, do European states want to see their homegrown businesses being relegated to playing second fiddle to US businesses with time? I think it would be a shame not to make this consideration. In the meantime, as people who practice in the area of gambling, we are often asked about so-called new markets, about the Ukraine, about India, Latin American countries, Africa. Each comes with several layers of complexity in the legal process, in operations, in compliance, and in payments. The bottom line, however, is that the industry is a young adult now. Quick wins are few and far between, even outside Europe and the US. The overall regulatory ecosystem is now such that it will inevitably lead to speeding up the process of natural selection amongst operators, in my view. The strongest, best informed and most agile will make it. It remains to be seen whether the stealthiest will too. The fantastic lineup of speakers brought together by SiGMA today for this regulatory track will discuss several of these regulatory challenges this morning. I hope you enjoy it, and I would encourage you to participate. I wish you all a great virtual conference. Thank you.